Hi everyone, welcome back to my next video. So here's Erin and I in a video we shot together previously, and we were going to have a little conversation about the philosophy of being a nomad and traveling. So here's the video. I guess a lot of of your journey in the car has been about mental health and
Yeah,
struggling with anxiety and depression predominantly.
yeah.
And has it been helpful?
I think it has been helpful, mostly because of the support I get from people. And don't get me wrong, there's definitely people who get on there and say ugly things. I mean, I feel like you could have a YouTube channel that's all about puppies and people are still gonna make negative comments just because they're cruel, they're mean people. But fortunately, I can block people who do things like that. So I've definitely utilized that. But for the most part, I'd say 98% of comments are like, I'm sorry that happened, or oh, hey, I totally understand, or some comments that I didn't expect, but were made me kind of understand like how I kind of have accidentally helped people is people commenting, thanks for posting this video. I've been having a hard time understanding my partner's depression, and now I understand it a little bit more, and I understand how I can be a little more supportive and things like that. So I think that we're all kind of, especially because there is an issue in our country with accessible healthcare. There's definitely, I mean, even if you just have the flu, sometimes it can be hard to get to the doctor or get an appointment, but I had at one point in 2019, I decided I was going to get help. And I got Obamacare, and I ended up being on a 3-month waiting list to see a doctor, a mental health professional. And I could only afford the insurance for 3 months. So my insurance got canceled before I could even get to the doctor. And that's just an example, and they think because they make this healthcare plan and they like everybody's helped, but everybody isn't helped. It's a real problem. And then on top of that, that's just my story about being brave enough to tell somebody that I needed help. But in general, I think we're all kind of taught, based on modern day societal expectations, we're taught to just tough it out, just keep pushing. Oh, it's just adulting. There's things you're gonna have to do that you don't want to do. That's what being an adult is. But it's when you're having trouble getting up in the morning and like brushing your teeth, like that's a problem.
No, in this country, depression has hit virtual epidemic proportions. Uh,
Yeah.
Suicide and the number of people receiving depression drugs, prescriptions for prescription drugs. It's just incredible the proportion of Americans that are in suffering from that who will admit that they're suffering for that, and that's the hard part is most people won't even admit it. So how many more are suffering and just will never come forward and admit to it and say it? I need some help. So
Yeah.
it is a common part of the American dream today. In fact, for the last 3 years, the lifespan of the average American declined, which is we're the only advanced industrialized country in the world where the lifespan actually has declined, and the main reasons are people killing themselves. There are three main reasons. One is Alzheimer's, which is an epidemic also, but that's nothing to do with this issue. Uh, but it's people taking their own life, and it's people overdosing on opioids, the opioid epidemic. So, and these are diseases of despair. Despair is rampant in this country, and so I've struggled myself with a little bit of I've struggled a lot with depression, and I've given it a lot of thought and a lot of study. And what I've concluded is this: depression in a modern country, particularly the United States, is a normal reaction, completely normal and healthy reaction to a completely abnormal, unhealthy society. And so you're the healthy one, that you can't cope with being turned into a rat in a maze. That makes you healthy. That doesn't make you unhealthy. Uh, the people, those of us who have adjusted to being rats in mazes and uh, treading on the treadmill, the rat race, uh, we're the unhealthy ones. And so um, I just want you to know that I'm sympathetic, and I also see and understand a lot of what you're doing by going into nature and your extreme pull to that. So I think that's the most healing thing you can do is to get time into nature and around people that actually care about you. So you went to Walla Walla and worked in the winery, and where did you go after that?
After that, I went to Seattle, and from there I flew out to Chicago and hung out. Chicago is one of my favorite cities, and hung out in Georgia a little bit. Went back to Seattle, and then I just drove down the coast. Eventually, ended up in San Luis Obispo, California. Well, I stopped and briefly worked in San Francisco. That's one of the freedoms and liberations I've gained from living in my car, is that financial freedom gives you the ability to really choose your jobs and be like, wait a minute, this isn't working for me. You know what I'm saying? The days of me like having a job that I hate, that's over. I will never live like that again. I will not do that. That is like my number one.
Good.
If it means me like giving you a 2 week courtesy, or if it means me just not showing up, like no sweat off my back, I'm gonna do my thing for my happiness, and that's what I do. I didn't love it. So there's nowhere I've been that like a specific place I've traveled to where I would like go back and live forever. I don't think I really have that in me, that going somewhere and living there forever. I don't think that's a thing for me. Road. And I traveled through Nevada, Utah, Idaho by far is my favorite state. I hung out in Montana. Like and then from there, I went through Wyoming and Colorado and ended up back down south. Still living in my car. It's definitely my happy place. I'm happier in my car than in a house or an apartment. I kind of fall into like this routine of being like a lump, honestly. If I'd stay in a house, I'm like, oh wow, there's all these places to like sit and like lay down. And but if I'm in my car, I'll get out. I'm like, I'm getting out of here. Like I can't like sit in here all day, laying here all day. So I'm much more active when I live like this, as opposed to when I'm in a house or at someone's apartment. I'll lay around, I'll sit around, I'll definitely eat more, watch TV, like things that in my opinion, are bad habits because they don't bring me joy. So to me, it's a bad habit for me. You know what I'm saying?
Right, right. Yeah, most of us find ourselves healthier living in a vehicle
Yeah,
than
definitely.
mentally and physically. There's a lot of boondocking land in particularly in North Georgia, but Tennessee, North Carolina. There's a lot of places you can go and just camp and be in nature and find trees to hide under, to shade under.
Yeah, I went adventuring just yesterday in the Blue Ridge area of Georgia, Blue Ridge National Forest, or I think it's maybe the Blue Ridge area, but it's the Chattahoochee National Forest. I was up there, and yeah, there's definitely it was just open space, and with natural water sources and everything. You could definitely, if you had a water filter, just go up there and park and camp out. You could be up there for months. You
Yeah.
really could be. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I imagine that there's probably not a lot of enforcement going on right now. No one has.
No.
So yeah, if nature's really healing, of course you have to work sometimes too. So
Right.
back into town to work, but yeah, it's there, and it's pretty prevalent particularly in Georgia. Also, Alabama, not very far away, has a ton of national forests. Tallahassee National Forest, I've camped in there, and there's a lot of camping out there. That might. Um, And I've watched quite a few of your videos, and I really enjoy them. And I'm encouraging everyone to go and subscribe to your channel. So tell them again your channel on YouTube.
It's Outlier Errin. I just put together an adjective of myself and my name, and I came up with Outlier Errin, and it just talks about my simple life. I keep it pretty real, pretty raw. It's definitely not scripted. I think I was a bit apprehensive of people thinking it was boring, because really usually it's just me sitting in my car talking, but I've been well received and it's what works for me, you know. I can't even if I tried to put on an act, it probably wouldn't be very good. So um it's just me living in my car discussing sometimes happy things, sometimes not so happy things. You'll definitely see me cry, and then I'll turn right around and laugh and smile, because that's real life. You know what I'm saying?
Very much. Yeah, so I've watched some of your videos, and it something I've discovered about myself recently that I was completely unaware of my whole life was a new concept that's becoming discussed quite a bit now, and that is of highly sensitive people and people who are just more tuned into the energy of others and the vibes of others, whatever that means, and therefore a lot of the things I've heard from you, I see in myself, the need to be alone, the need to get away, the introversion, the need for nature, the healing power of nature, just a job that pulls you down and virtually destroys you. That's I just all things I see in myself, and I never thought of myself as a sensitive person because I block emotions in myself. So I'm only talking about myself, um, so that I don't feel emotions. And because I don't feel emotions, I've always thought, well, how could I be a sensitive person? Uh, because I don't allow myself to feel. But then it occurred to me, why do I allow myself to feel, not to feel? It's because I can't cope with feelings, and so it also kind of explains my real desire to and care about my concern for others and my desire to help them is I still feel some of their feelings and want to help them. So all that to say, that only applies to me, but I wonder if it might apply a little bit to you, that you might just be a highly sensitive person, and that explains a lot of what goes on in your life.
Yeah, I think so. I think a highly sensitive person. Are you there? There actually is a psychological classification for that. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
actually
So
finding a biological basis for it. That
right.
uh, humans are designed to react to the feelings and emotions of people around them. That's part of what we. It's part of our survival mechanism. If someone's really angry, you need to know that. If someone's very sympathetic, you need to know that. And so there's actual biological basis for a lot of it.
Yeah, the psychologist who coined the term and who discovered it. She actually lives and works out of San Diego, and a friend of mine actually went to counseling with her because they were a highly sensitive person, and that's how I was actually introduced to the terminology. Which, when they first said the term, I'm guilty of laughing. I'm like, what is that? You know? And when they explained it to me, I was like, okay, say no more. I'm gonna do my own little research. And I did, and I was like, wow, I relate to a lot of this stuff. You can get online and take a quiz. It's called having HSP or being HSP, a highly sensitive person. And I think a lot of it is very, you can compare a lot of it to symptoms of being on the autism spectrum as well. If you compare those things, a lot of them are in line with one another. But for me, it's being very sensitive to energy. I'm very sensitive to lighting in a room. Sometimes if maybe I'll think I want to like go into this cafe or go to this restaurant, or I'll be invited somewhere and I'll walk in and I'm like, nope. Like if the lighting's too much for me, like I cannot be in there. I have a physical reaction. And also to sound, very sudden, loud, abrupt noises. I actually get filled with kind of like a rage. I have a physical reaction to it. So um, leaf blowers are probably like my sound arch nemesis. I cannot stand like leaf blowers, weed eaters, lawnmowers, loud engines, anyone revving a motor. Please stop. Why are you doing that? It really bothers me. Um, People who are like overly like boisterous for no reason. Like it's one thing, like did somebody say something really funny and you're laughing? Okay, like do your thing. But people who are just loud, I cannot be around those people. It's too much for me. I get just overcome with I don't even know what. It kind of sends like a wave of frustration through me. And then also touch. I'm not a touchy person. There's probably two people in the world I touch. Like I'll touch it. I'll touch animals all day. I will like hug a dog or a cat all day long. But when it comes to other humans, I think it's because of the energy transfer. Like you say I have a bubble. I need you to stay out of my bubble. You know. I remember working at a bar, and this other female bartender I worked with, like everyone that would come in, she would walk out from, not everyone, I'm exaggerating, but like people who came to the bar regularly or semi-regularly that she knew their names or whatever, or that we all kind of knew their names. She would leave, she would walk out from behind the bar and go out. When they came in, she would hug them. And I just watching her do that bothered me. I was like, why is she touching everybody? Like, oh my God, like, am I supposed to do that too? Like, I can't do this. And at one point I had like a however many day review with my manager, and they mentioned be a little more like so and so. And I was like, no, hugging is not in my job description. I'm not doing this. Like, but yeah, touch, light, sound, and energy in general, it's a lot for me. I definitely notice it when if I were to go to someone's house. And one of the decision making, the big decision maker for me in the last apartment I lived in was that every single light in that little 400 square foot apartment was on a dimmer. And I was like, yes, I can be in control of the lighting. So that was a selling point for me. So it definitely bothers me. And there's times where like if I'm in a car with someone, especially if it's like if I'm the passenger, I'll just reach over and turn the radio off. Like I just need it. I need it to calm down. You know what I'm saying? Or it really bothers me when people are they take their cell phone or like, hey, watch this video. Just like the overstimulation in general. Like, look at this. Like, see, listen to this. Look at this. I'm like, no. Like, it's too much. There's enough going on around me. I don't need to like look at things and listen to things and all day long. It's just way too much.
Well, so yeah, I hear, everything you've said. I said, oh yeah, that's me, that's me, that's me. So it's, I really totally relate. Well, in your research, you must have seen that there are also a lot of things they recommend for highly sensitive people to protect themselves, to keep themselves, from being overwhelmed by the energy that's all around them. And I'm sure one of them, for you and for me, that's why I live in a van, is because it's safety. It's safety from all of that energy. It's
Yeah,
it's a hiding place in a sense.
it is. It's my
Um,
turtle shell.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. When the world's
And
too hard,
yeah, I like that. Like if I wake up somewhere and I wake up to a leaf blower, I can drive away. I can drive away from that leaf blower. I can't listen to things like that. They really bother me.
with you, because I know there are a lot of people out there who struggle with these things and don't understand them and don't. You're obviously intelligent enough to go do the research and find out for yourself. And a lot of people aren't. They're just going through life and rolling with the punches the best they can. So I really admire that in you.
Thank you.
Uh, so there you have it, folks. Erin and I spent some time visiting and philosophizing. And so if you got anything out of this video, like us on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, hit that thumbs up button, and we'll talk to you later.